So this video will be a step-by-step of how I created my Necromunda style market stall. So first of all, I started with a 10x10 square, which was already pre-cut. You can get these from craft stores and online. If you don't have access to them, you could always just use a piece of cardboard or plastic or whatever else. I'm going to be using quite a lot of recycled materials, so grab anything that has texture, cardboard, plastic. These are leftovers for some 3D prints I had. I don't like to leave my bases blank, so you could stick some cardboard or plastic to that, or you could put some all-purpose filler on with some sand or some textured paste just to zhuzh it up a little bit. I decided to go with some clay and a roller from Green Stuff World. These are fantastic for adding a lot of depth and interesting character to terrain and to bases. So I wet the clay and I've rolled it out just with the plain roller first of all. You could use green stuff as well if you want to, but I just like using clay as a cheap alternative when it comes to terrain. When it comes to these rollers, make sure the clay is a little bit wet and the roller itself is too, but not too wet because it becomes too soggy and more difficult to use, in which case just wipe it down with a cloth. Once dried, I added some Doombull brown. I always think reddish browns and dark browns are great for rust, and then I added a copper colour from Darkstar. Darkstar do some wonderful metallics, and now I'm just dry brushing it over the top, which is basically just taking off excess paint and then dragging it over with a soft brush. And now I'm adding a sepia tone dip. If you don't have a sepia tone, just use whatever else washes you have at hand. Now I'm just adding some turquoise for like verdigris effect and wiping the excess away. I'm just building up some additional colours here. As I've said before, have a look at real world examples of rust in photographs, or take some yourself if it's safe to do so. You don't have to paint it in stages, you could wait until the entire thing's completed and then do it. For the next part, I'm creating a structure just with some straws, and I've made them equally cut, and I'm just going to place them around the edges. Once the straws are dry and stable, I've started to add some materials around the sides, and these straws are great because they give you a good indication of how long things should be and give it a bit more stability as well. You don't have to use straws, you can use popsicle sticks or anything else really that has some stability to it. It's just so you've got an idea of how things will work going around the stall. So here I've painted it in some true metallic metals and added some washes, and I've done some bright colours as well just to make it a bit more interesting. I've added a sepia tone wash, and then I've done some pigment rust. And then next I'm going to be adding some oils. I'm using a low odour thinner. You can use white spirits if you want to, but I prefer this stuff. And then I'm going to be adding my oil paints. You can make your own oil washes this way, and if you put them into a container with a sealable lid, you can use them on multiple occasions. The trick with oils is to leave them on for 5 to 10 minutes or even longer before you start to rub away the excess. So I'm just using a cotton swab, or you could use a rag soaked in white spirits. I decided to make this stall a weapon stall since I have a lot of little leftovers on sprues and lots of things in bits boxes too, so I have all these weapons and little bits and pieces. I also 3D printed a sign that says Armory. This was from a Kickstarter project called Flatline City. I also decided to add a little computer screen. This is from a Green Stuff World mould which I have. I also 3D printed some little containers. Yes, I did cheat a little bit with these, making them. However, you can make these yourselves. Just get some containers or make some little wooden containers yourself, and you just fill them with loads of leftover bits and trash, etc. I decided to add a detachable roof. This is made from trash pieces again, glued together. I have then grabbed some cloth, cut it up to look like it's some sort of fur over the top of it as well. Just as a last note, I just wanted to say that I take a lot of inspiration from different sources such as video game, concept art, films, and real world examples as well.